Welcome to the We Speak Tangent podcast, where we speak to neurodivergent entrepreneurs. So, welcome to another episode of We Speak Tangent. So today, Michael's not with us, so I'm James.
And I'm Kat.
So today we're going to have a wee chat and a wee, as I say, shoot the breeze about, because I forget stuff, that's what my neurodivergence is, like stigma. And it's again, stigma with neurodivergent employer and clients, because we've also been the client, we've been on that end of the bits. Aye. So it's one that's very close. This morning I'm very, very overstimulated. For me, I've been up from 4 o'clock. We have a lot going on. But it's like if I was employed by somebody, you guys were talking and I was looking at the window and I was watching two pigeons and it came to my head that why do pigeons pet concrete? And
it's a valid question.
Aye, in all fairness, and I'm great that you had the answer for me, but in all fairness, if a boss came in and said, what are you doing?
Yeah.
I'm already going to have my backup. Because it's like I get it, people, I guess it's the whole point of the podcast, people need to be, and I use this word very loosely, educated, but they need to know some sort of structure of how neurodivergency works. And yes, everybody's individual and everybody's different. And I have only got James Alexander Gaffney's version of that. I don't ever speak for anybody else, and I'm not a doctor. I just tell people how it is for me. But can you imagine, like say you're the boss and you come in, Kat, and I'm looking at the window, and for any of the English listeners, that's the window. And you just come in, and I stood there for quite a bit, and I had no control. I just stood there, and I do it quite a lot. I do it when I'm painting and just looking at the window. As an employer, you're coming in, you'd be like, what are you doing? And knowing you do get employers who are kind, and they'll be like, James, what's that, are you all right? And it's like, we don't know we're doing anything wrong. It's like looking at a window, so the employer can come in hard and go, listen, you are, what are you doing? Get back to your work, looking at the window, blah, blah, blah. For me, and I use this word very loosely, it's like trauma, as a child, as young James, like, I am the stereotypical kid that went to an awful lot of schools. Let's say bad boy, probably misunderstood. But again, looking out the window, it's like, it's harmless. Yeah. But if you're there to do a job, which leads me on to my next bit, this is the reason why I am a neurodivergent self-employed person, because that happens to me, but as a client, somebody like coming in, they'd be like, whoa, it's like, how do you deal with that? How does someone who's neurotypical, and I'm not neurotypical bashing because most of my friends are neurotypical, it's like, how do you get that word out there? How do you tell them that, what I've just did there is all right? How do you tell, because I'm all about the younger version, it's like, how do you now in this day and age in 2025, how are you able to tell people that, that's a part of neurodivergency? I don't know what part that is. As I say, I'm out in the wild. That could be the autism, it could be the ADHD. The fact is, I'm an adult looking at a window when other people are having a meeting and talking. And you know that? And it's like, past tense, I have really got my back up. It's like people would be like, why are you not doing your work? Or let's use school while I'm in there in the mindset. Why is James looking at the window and everybody else is doing what they're doing? Well, James doesn't like writing because he's dyslexic. He holds the pencil hard because I'm struggling, so I choose to look at the window. And if I get that wee solitude, and I never give myself a hard time because not once have I apologised for that. It's like, I will take that time and I call it like a mini holiday. It's like, I can't control that. There's no excuses, there's no anything. That's just a barrier that I guess that we're talking about with the stigma is, we're not asking for it to go away because it's not going to go away. It's just, how do you load people with the information to go, I was going to say don't do that, but I'm going to do it again. It's like, how do people understand that don't have that mindset? Like I said jokingly before, we're in your houses, we're in your cafes, we're in your houses, it's like, as Michael says, we're also in our own houses, but we've been
I think it's about giving people grace.
We've been about for a while, it's like, this isn't something new. that people, we use the loosely the word staring out the window, but it's like having a fast mind and putting that to work, hence being neurodivergent and entrepreneur. I'm not a big fan of the word. I used to be, but the more I get in touch with the neurodivergent side of me and is the superpower thing. Does a superpower have all the trauma and all the other bits that go with it? I don't think so. I don't
exactly.
think I
Show me a
woke up as
neurodivergent that isn't traumatized.
Exactly. So it's like I try not to call it a superpower. I have qualities that would match it, but I also have lived experiences that have really led me up to it.
So everyone is a unique individual and everyone has their skills, and the fact that you also see the world in a certain way doesn't take away from your skills, but it doesn't. It's not the reason for them either. Like, the reason is because of who you are and what you have. It's
like, how does an employer, because I'm all about feeling valued and respect, how does an employer respect a neurodivergent but also getting his workload done? That's the thing, you know. It's like, it's a very, very... So, yeah, you know, employers, if they just did a wee bit... I've never worked in a place where it's been neurodivergent friendly. Like, I literally, as I joined the podcast, I've never really used the word neurodivergent. Because I've been quite ashamed and shy, and I'm not ashamed now to admit stuff like that. But you know, like, we'll just say, like, if there's a wee pause there in between the camera, you know, there was a noise coming from the ceiling, and that's through the neurodivergent gods, because what we're talking about is exactly that. You know, it's a distraction. It's something that,
to know what these things are, and then you can hear the electricity. Can you hear the electricity?
I can't hear the electricity. My pal's wee boy can hear it from
and
the
lights.
sockets. Like,
can you hear lights?
Can sometimes hear the lights,
really,
but in here,
really distracting.
That noise was like
loud.
I didn't notice it until Amelia said, and then it became inside my soul. I could actually feel it. You know, that's the best words. When you're going through something that's like, it's feelings and expressionism and all the other stuff, it's all of the above. You know, it's like, and I'm trying to see it as an employer, because I'm also talking to myself, like, if I was to have somebody like me, because there's nobody like me in my team, so it's like, to have somebody, which I'm totally open for, to come in that's like me. How would I deal with me? It's like, you know, I'm very open to everything. I like people, but you know, I struggle sometimes to, like, I overtalk, I overshoot, I overwelcome, I oversensitize, and then I'm burnt out. But when it's somebody who's like me, it comes in the conversations quite at a speed, or they do the same stuff as me, and we'll have conversations. So I don't know, man.
I think it's a process, you know, because everyone is on their own journey of like self-discovery. So like, they can come in, have that conversation, tell you what they need and what would be helpful, and then but that evolves, and then also whether you can, you know, deliver it, and not push yourself aside.
But it's also,
and then you have to meet together and work that through as well.
I think trying to get out the stigma of it being, like, even the podcast and everything that we do, is trying to get the mindset of not being a box ticking exercise. You know, it's like, that's the other stereotypical of employers, and I'm not bashing employers. I'm only giving from my experience. I cannot stress that enough. It's like, you can't have somebody in as a box ticking exercise and then come in and bash them for looking out the window, looking at the pigeons.
Yeah, and you know, like, quite often what happens is people will come in and someone on the team will be like, well, we're not going to, you know, stigmatise you because of what you've got going on. But then the people who actually work with that person don't have the knowledge or the resources or the training to actually make that working relationship work.
It's lived, like lived experience as neurodivergent entrepreneurs is like, again, I've only got my experience. Like, nobody's ever stopped and turned around and said, you know, what is it you actually do, James? You know, they don't see, like, I always say, 7 days a week, but can you class being in the house and painting 7 days a week? Because that's my therapy, because I get 2 people out. So to go into the world and and I eat my humble words, like, and go into the world and say, you know, somebody as an employer, and you know, if any of my ex-employers are looking, there's no malice against you either. It's like, you have to go through this journey. I'm a 42-year-old neurodivergent who denied being a neurodivergent.
100%, because exactly, you can't come in and say, you know, this is what I need if you're denying that in yourself and to yourself.
Yeah, but as the employers, you know, it's like, yes, there was situations I was put in that could have been handled different, and I guess that's where the angle that I'm coming from is, like, you know, rather than deal with the situation, they would make you want to get rid of you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like through the proper channels, you know. And it's like, that's not the right way. It
Yeah.
was never, I mean, I am humbly thankful that everything led me to here. But, you know, other people coming in the door is like, I wouldn't want them to go through that. And I guess that's why that topic
100%.
is the one that I picked to go, it's not a rant. It's more as like, how can we educate you? How can we have the conversations like this without having to be inside a wee glass room on a podcast?
Yeah,
You know,
because you know those times when people do respond in a way that says to you what you are is wrong, and then it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Of course it does. And
because then you cannot, because the more you feel like you're wrong in that situation and you feel that judgment from people, the less you are able to actually cope with the situation that you're in, and then you kind of devolve and unravel. And
people
then that's
are very
when you
good
get
at picking up on your bad faults, but they don't ever. I'm one of the guys who will pick up on a good thing on somebody, and I will absolutely shake your hand and tell you if you like that. You know, if I'll shake your hand and tell you how great it is, or I'll give you a hug, and you know that's what's missing. I'm not asking your bosses to go out hugging everybody, but you know, and you know, I'll put this out there as well for people. See if there's anybody that has got any correlation to anything that I've just said in the first 7-10 minutes. Please reach out, man. There's a wealth of experience in the NEN and in the podcast. Reach out, and we might not be able to help you. We're no doctors in that.
no,
but
be able to come alongside you.
Aye.
Yeah. It's like you say about about looking out windows and stuff. I remember so much of school looking out windows and being called back and like, are you paying attention? Are you paying attention? And I'd always be able to give the answer because I was paying attention. If I looked at them, then I probably wouldn't have known. I would have zoned out.
Yeah. I just think that when your brain is still trying to develop, it's the time to be like, if it develops roundabout with people who are like-minded, can you imagine the possibilities that if we were in a school with like-minded neurodivergents, why is there no a school, again, not touching on the superhero thing, but like the X-Men.
National Autistic Society has a school now.
Aye, I've seen that.
It looks really cool.
Like, obviously I'm an 80s baby, so it's like growing up, things like that, you know, and it's like just to be amongst your own people, you'd be able to touch a level of consciousness is what I'm going to use, because that's what it's like when you're a child or a young adult. It's like you're rushing to get to that adulthood, you're rushing to get to that 21, you're rushing to get the job, you're rushing to get the please don't rush to get these things. If you're there to get the friends, if you're there to get the girlfriend, the boyfriend, the car, the houses, the job, please slow it down a wee bit. Take it for somebody who's
those things are not the big things.
Yes, if they're meant to be in your path, they will come. It's just if you just I can't explain it enough. I don't live in the past very often, but I certainly use it, you know, and like I say, like everything led me to here, but employers have accountability for the people as well. You know, like I see a lot of unhappiness with people, and then when you take them at the work environment and take them a walk, or you have they're different, man. It's like
so we've built this whole culture around the idea that, you know, you escape from your life periodically in order to be able to, you know, be happy or whatever, and you need something to look forward to. It's like, no, just actually have joy in the life that you're in.
The TNTs, the tiny noticeable things. You
Exactly.
know, I opened a book about Rabbie Burns the other day, and it was a gift for a friend, my pal Davey, and I opened it up. But before that, I had read a post, and this is like the universal, so I'm going on a tangent here because it is the name of the podcast. But
we like them.
A friend on social media, she had put on there that stuff that she'd had and found in a book, and I was like, and then the same day I've opened a book and there's a fern in a page.
Oh, beautiful.
It's like those wee TNTs, the tiny noticeable things, are the things that you miss when you're rushing. So for me, being neurodivergent, I was like, wonder why it's in that page. Where is it? Why did somebody put it in there? Why there? I wonder where they were sitting. Where were they going? They're the bits that you want to be encouraging and going, because that's what creatives like us, we do. You know, it's like writing books, and where the interesting things, like walking along the beach and a bit of driftwood, and you're like,
it's so different.
Where did you come from?
Because I think because of the kind of friend group that my parents had, and like you say, 80s baby, so like at school, very much like you wrote your handwriting, and you had to write your cursive, and it had to stay in the lines. And then, you know, we would go to like people's houses, and then their kids were on the same wavelength that we were, we'd be like wandering around, we'd be off 10 miles away in a loch somewhere, or like you say, in a stream bed finding driftwood and stuff, and carving ourselves little rats on things and
getting
stuff like that.
And discovering things. It's like, but something you just said there was, you know, as an artist of my calibre and what I do, and I don't mean that in the level that I'm at, I mean like when we're working with kids and adults, and that thing you said they were staying in the lines, you know, there is no rule about that. Yes,
Exactly.
the school, and I'm not arguing with any schools, and we're not going to fight, but there is no rule to stay inside the lines. And when I see kids like myself and struggling, and I struggled, I've got a lump in my finger where I'm really pushing on a pencil, and that's why I probably didn't paint until I was 37 or draw. I did dabble, but you know, like pressing on it and that whole staying inside. And if I went outside the lines after colouring in for, let's say, 20 minutes because it was intense, that was
hard.
I am out, and I'm like.
But it's interesting you say that, because you just reminded me. You know, I spent the whole of primary trying to write cursive between the lines. And then I remember we got a new teacher when I went into juniors, which meant that you went to the other end of the one room, because I went to a tiny school. There were only like 20 of us altogether. And then I immediately got stop trying to write joined up, because you can't do it. It's too messy. And then think of the message, and this literally just occurred to me now, of like, this is what you have to conform to, and then being like, oh, actually, you're never going to get there. Yeah.
Putting you in that box that we're always talking about, it's like, please stop putting people in boxes. And literally, don't put people in a box. They'll not be able to breathe. But you know, and you can tell I get dead passionate about these things. This is stuff like, I've only got my own experience. As much as everybody would think I am an out there guy, but I'm more of an in. I am more of an in, and that's because of the way I've been treated, the way the world is like, the societal barriers. If anybody watches the stuff I paint, I'm constantly putting blocks in. I'm telling you, I'm leaving breadcrumbs, because we don't want people to be small, tiny humans, adults either. We want to be able to give you a taste of what it's actually like, because here's the other part. My life's great some of the time, you know, and it's like, if you bump into me, I will tell you how it's great. But there is the days that we keep to ourselves.
And that's the interesting thing about stigma, because even if you are, you know, to use your term, out in the wild or in denial and you don't know what's going on, other people notice. Because you still get bullied, and you still get commented upon. Yeah. You know, even if you don't know what the label is.
There's this one that is very close, right? It's like, people don't like success. They treat you different. And most neurodivergents that I've got to know are successful in their own right mind, because they, at a later date, have had help. They've had something, and they've built on top of that. And it's like, if we can just harness that. I'm not saying that I've always been a great person. You know, I try my best every single day to be the better version of myself. But even the bad stuff for me being past has led to here.
And everyone is the student, and everyone is the teacher. You know, it's about a philosophy of relating.
Yeah, everybody seems as if they want to capitalise on that, though, but in a monetary value. Yeah. How about capitalising it as a human?
Exactly. It's more about the connection and the growing of yourself and the other person. Yeah.
It's like,
rather than, you know, I will grow and you will be left behind.
How many? I've only got my sense, and I'll flip the side. Like, how many artists do you know will freely tell you how they got something and did it? Not many. You know, how many horsey people will tell you, because you'll be interested in how they did something. How many will share their tips and tricks? Not many. Unless I'm wrong, possibly different. But, you know, if there is a way, come on, what I'm trying to say is as a neurodivergent that is a massive magnet to the world, I'm not Bob Geldof or anything, but, you know, let's share and help each other. Yeah. That's the whole point of the podcast. That's the whole point of teaching people. And again, back to my big tangent I was trying to say, if anybody's listening and they're ready to become a neurodivergent entrepreneur, please reach out. We don't get enough people reaching out for this. If you want what we've got, there's a certain element you have to do what we did, and it is scary, but guess what? You get to be your boss in your own world. How amazing would that be?
And you can do it alongside what you're doing for a while, you know, and do both, and then transition slowly.
It's if you've got an idea, then you're nearly there. That's I hear.
And there's little quiet ways to connect. You know, there's Facebook, there's TikTok, there's messages on Instagram. You know, there's lots of ways to just connect without it being a big thing.
Like, I'm out in the
No,
wild,
we're there
but
for
I'm
you.
out there. I'm out there and I'm making mistakes because I'm cataloguing everything. All these paintings and all these words and all these things that I'm telling you about. That's me cataloguing it because I will
And
go
like
back.
a reframe, you know, it's not a
Aye.
mistake. You learned a new thing.
Exactly. Mistakes are just things that you're adding to your itinerary as you go along.
Yeah,
But
you
if
either
don't
learn how
visit
you
mistake,
do want to
how
do
are
a
you
thing
gonna
or
learn?
how you don't want to do a thing, you know.
Or the art
The
analogy
learning is always there.
is that I always tell our students that don't throw anything out, and I mean don't throw anything out. I seen one of my wee students, and they were like ripping up stuff, and I'm like, oh, I know that feeling as a kid because I've also like destroyed hundreds of my art because that feeling of letting the world in, and it isn't always like this, but destroyed loads of my paintings. I'm a failure. I'm this. I'm that. I'm nothing. Listen, please stop being so horrible and negative to yourself and all the horrible and unloving things that you've thought about, because the majority of them are the real, man. Please don't destroy.
Yeah, see, that's interesting. I kept all of mine, but I hid it.
Aye, hiding it. I just think that's how you're going to, like, I'm no for school, right? Yes, and if any schools are listening that we visit, I am for schools for the visits, but past tense James was not for schools. It wasn't for me. And you know, the reason why I say that is that because, and I got to unravel it and show the wee girl, and I say, you know, please keep that, and we'll remember this, because you always revisit. You should always revisit your old stuff, and that's me teaching without being a teacher, but also giving them a gift that I've already went through. And you know, if
that's what teaching is.
Aye, and it's like Lowry. You know, I thought I was alone with that and never mentioned to my team, never none. I'm watching the Lowry film because the Lowry paintings were in Berwick. And I don't mind admitting, I always burst into tears. I'm quite an emotional guy. I seen him destroy all his paintings, and you can imagine for me it was like I relived that moment, and it was the realization that you're a neurodivergent, you're autistic, you're ADHD, you're dyslexic, but you're also not alone in that sense. You know, I then had the answer of why I destroyed them. It's respect. People don't respect us. People don't want to give you their time. People just use and abuse for what they want. But come on, that's part of the journey, but having the right network and the right people round about you, hence why the stigma and what we're saying is about businesses. And you know, this is now 2025, again, not all businesses are labelled with the same, because if you don't know what you don't know, how are you going to know it?
Completely. And it's about people trying to put you in those boxes, you know, the poetry book that I published, you know, some of the poems in there, I fished out of a wheelie bin because somebody threw them out because they were like, that's too depressing, don't be that.
But that's a perfect analogy. They had to go in the wheelie bin in order to be rescued.
Yeah,
it
made me know how special they were.
That's it. Yeah. It's like things have to. What I'm trying to say is things have to happen in order for them to happen. We didn't wake up the day. I didn't wake up and go. Well, I did wake up, but you know, I didn't wake up and go. All of a sudden, I'm this. It kind of was like that for me as an artist.
It grows. Everyone grows and develops.
I put a video on yesterday of a journey 4.5 years ago. Thank you to Autistic James for keeping all your pictures, because I only came across them by pure chance. And again, which reiterates the fact is, please don't throw anything out. Continue your journey. If it's a quiet journey for yourself, great. You will get so much growth.
Every part of you is precious.
It's like we've all done as a kid, like writing stuff and leaving wee notes and the girl or the boy that we liked, and you're like, oh, that's the feeling of waking up and being brutally honest with the world as a neurodivergent. Yes, it's a scary place. I never ever say it's easy, but you know, it gets better. Gets better with time, and things start to become more tangible. I'm the guy who now sitting, I'm smiling.
More tangentible?
Tangible, aye. It's like, I'm now the guy that gets to sit in front of a camera and say stuff that people probably said something very similar to this when I was at school, but I was like, nah, not interested. I'm not interested. Whereas now it's like, if we don't lead for the front and we don't have podcasts like this or we don't do stuff like that, how can people learn?
Yeah.
How can future people like us say, oh, remember they guys did that? Because there's people out there right now who have listened or they've acted or they've done something like, aye, they're a bit crazy, but you know, I really want to do what they've got.
Yeah, I see myself in that. And like that's that little nugget of hope that will carry you through.
Yeah. And
if those people that you need are not around you yet.
The world is quite selfish, and I'm not bashing the world. You know, I don't watch council telly, as I've openly said, but you know, I do listen to the radio and I do have social media platforms, and it does trickle out. That affects me. That's back to the looking out the window thing. I'm sitting with my phone face down because if my phone lights up, I'm on that.
Yeah, you need to
If one of the let's just say if one of the world leaders or MDs on there and their propaganda, I'm on that. It affects,
no one mentioned.
It affects the world that we live in. But please let the right people get involved with your life. It's hard, right? And I'm going to tell you right now, that bit is hard. Even those words that came out my mouth there.
But sometimes it's those things that make you cry, that touch you, that light you up. That's how you find the people who are your people.
Yeah. The fact is that, and I did say that we've been about for a long time, you know, but you've heard me say it before, is, you know, as long as we keep our side of the street clean and keep making mistakes and learning, if you're coming in there behind and trying to get yourself up there, as long as we keep our end of the
leave
bargain,
some breadcrumbs,
then yous will be able to come in and lead forward. I might not be resonating with absolutely everybody, but there'll be somebody out there, and even if it's only one person, that's made my life. That's made my life experiences far much more. And flip it onto the good stuff. Being a neurodivergent entrepreneur is great. It's one of the best things I've ever done. If anything, it's the best thing I've ever done. Sorry to my son, you're also the best thing that I've ever had. You know, it's like, but being the neurodivergent entrepreneur and being able to work, everybody thinks it's all about the money. We as a company don't make an awful lot of money, but the fact is that I can spend the other 4 or 5 days in the house painting, doing stuff, creating. I've got to be honest, I put my first video on social media the other day of burnout, and I pretended that I was just sitting scrolling. You know, I was scrolling, but I was also hurting inside because I had burnt out, and I've been getting that lately. It's like when you do too much, listen to your body.
100%.
Listen to your own self.
Because if you don't listen to the whispers, it'll start shouting.
Exactly, and that was shouting. And for 3 days, I had what is it you call it, Kat? No, the sore heads.
Migraine?
Was there a migraine? You know, it's the build up and it's the thinking, it's the overwhelmingness. You named it a couple of episodes back. We'll need to look at that.
Yeah.
But it was like it's the build
like a busy
up,
mind.
and it's like just constantly building up, and then it's there.
Yeah.
And then
like
that's the bit that I still struggle with. You know, I'm not saying that I wake up and I'm happy all the time. Majority of the time, I can make myself happy by painting. But see those days that you wake up, don't be too scared. And again, I'll probably loosely say this because I'm not your employer, but take time for yourself. You know,
rest is an activity, and sometimes it's a necessary one.
You're not just here to go and work yourself into whatever. It's like, have a bit of respect for yourself to give yourself that self-care. And, you know, I eat my own humble words because I can get caught up with all that stuff, and, you know, I can put myself last a lot of the time. But it doesn't happen from now on. You need to put yourself first. Things start to transpire when you start to put the self-care before everything, because here's the thing, I've said it before, you can only work with others when you when you go to work with yourself. That is a fact, man.
Yeah, because the more you know about your needs and what lights you up and what drains you and what burns you out, the more you can advocate for yourself. And then, you know, those people who you need will come in and they will see that and they'll join forces with you. But also, you know, that's when the stigma comes out. But sometimes the message of that isn't go back in your box, go back to being small. Sometimes it's move.
Yeah, and there's like I don't hear an awful lot of what's the other thing? The obsessiveness of the neurodivergency. And that's why, like, I'm struggling now because I've realised that I've been talking fast and I'm moving my hands. So then I'm looking for something else to do. But I specifically said no needle for me today because I've become a bust to already. It's like I've become obsessive.
Yeah.
When you have that as well, that's part of the chain of thought of, I've been doing too much of this, because we constantly like the same thing. And again, I've only got my own version, but I eat the same thing for 10 days or I don't eat. It's the other thing. And it's like when I start noticing them now, I'm like,
that's a canary.
James, back to yourself.
That's a canary. Yeah.
You need to be careful. You need to be careful of that, because that is what my life is like. It's like one day is good and one day is closer to something amazing, but also living in the day. And the TNTs, man, please pick them up.
Gratitude journaling made a massive difference to me. Like, just find 3 things in any day that will make you grateful. And you know, when I was teaching, I did it with my first class of the day. I said to them, and you know, we had the whole conversation. It's like, why do we have to do that, miss? You know, what's that about? And then I was like, right, number one is you're alive. Write that down. And everyone was like, and then, but it was private, and then they could hand it to me if they wanted to. And the things that people were writing was beautiful. You know, it does it, and just little special things, like you say.
You just reminded me there. It's like, so the reason why I was in not attacking employers is like, you know the effect that you have on people. Like if you're the boss, I get it, you're under pressure, you're doing all that. But you know, if you have a neurodivergent like myself on your team, I'm not, like I'm saying, I'm not asking for special treatment, but you know, maybe have a wee word at the end of the day and be like, you know, is everything all right? You know, see those words there, is everything okay?
Yeah,
even if they lie
make
to you
a
and
big
say,
difference.
you've already made a difference, because they have a journey, not only on the train and on the car and on that home, they have a journey inside our heads. And that's where that's where everything works. Is like that whole we think with our heart and we act with our head. You know, but when we've got that time to slow down, the head process starts coming.
Because you know, like, not everyone engaged with that process that I used to do in the morning, but the people that did, you know, the end of that time that I had with them, they thanked me for doing that.
It's about giving away something, and at no cost to yourself. Hence why you have to go and work on yourself. And that's the beauty, again, of being self-employed. Yeah. Because you get to make your rules up. Please don't put yourself under a lot of pressure of you must do that, you must do this. Nobody ever got to where they were as a successful person or anybody by sacrificing their own stuff.
And the thing is, like, what often happens is you become a terrible boss for yourself. And that's part of the journey.
Don't be a terrible boss. Yeah. Don't be a terrible boss.
Yeah, you know, that's part of the journey, is learning how can I manage myself without hurting myself.
That's it. And they say we hurt the ones we love, but, you know.
And that's the thing, you know, if the stigma wasn't there and that wasn't how we learned at school to be corrected, we would know how to correct ourselves kindly.
Again, back to what I was saying about, you know, it'd be great if there was a place where neurodivergents could meet up and have, and I get it, they've got classes, they've got things like that now, but
I think, you know, the thing you say about schools and like how, like, I'm really passionate about it, and I remember being at when I was doing my PGD to be a teacher, and we were in a class and we were I don't remember what we were learning, but we were learning something, and the lecturer said to us, make notes. And I made notes on my phone, which is what I do, because I lose paper. B, writing hurts my hands. So I was making my notes, and then she came over and she was like, you're not making notes. I was like, yes, I am. They're on my phone. And she said, no, you have to make them on the paper. And I said, why? It's easier for me to do it on the phone, and then I'll remember it, and I'll can copy it into a document later. And she was like, no, you have to do it on the paper. And I remember just thinking, like, but why, though? And I stood up and we had quite a heated conversation. And I think if I'd been a child, she would have sent me out. But
well, I thought it was an adult when you were an adult.
Yeah.
Jeez, man, that's even worse.
Yeah, so when I was learning to be a teacher, so the lecturer was teaching us.
See, it's like people do what people do, and then it's like if that happens to others and they're taking that onto their profession, it's like, I get it, man. This is how I've said this for a long time. We are overpopulated and understimulated. Please stimulate the people who you're stimulating.
Because that's the thing, because like when you create a lesson plan, like I get it. Like when I've made a lesson plan and I'm like, this is going to be amazing, everyone's going to love it. And not everyone is going to love it. No, and some people won't understand the way that I think it's easiest to be done. Yeah. And it's about having that flexibility to say, actually, I've got these other two options that you could do. Like you can read it, or you can go through these questions or whatever. And it's about having that grace for other people. Yeah.
Aye, whatever they was individual. Like when you're saying their options, like if I've got one thing in my diary, I'm not doing anything else for the rest of the day. That's it. If I've got a meeting or I'm doing something like this, because I am all in, verbal, mental. I have nothing else in my diary. Yeah. How can somebody work in mainstream work and go in there 9 till, well, my jobs were 9 till 8. It's like, how can I go in there and again, I chose alcohol and drugs. There's a reason why I did that, you know, it's like, and it's starting to be apparent. It's like, we can't fit that into that society box. We have to have been able to have some sort of other avenue, the other way of learning, the other way of just being inspired is the thing, you know. And if you're not inspired to go to work, I get it. We need money, and as you guys say, you need to eat. But if you're not inspired by going to your boss and your boss telling you, "Where you looking at the window, looking at pigeons?"
Yeah.
Well, there you go. It's like, it's not about the pigeons. It's about asking. That's what I'm trying to say. It's about behind the scenes, and it's the whole.
It's like, do you need to be looking at something? Do you need to be, you know,
Don't you have a badge to say I'm neurodivergent?
do you need to be lying down? But like, everyone has something, you know, and it's about having that space to find how you work best.
It is. You can imagine it's a big pool of whatevers and maybes and eyes and that, but it is. It's just being able to.
That's
turn
just
around
my
and say to
psyche.
somebody. It's like being able to go say to somebody, you know, oh, I see you looking at the window. It's something like that. It's like, because if you ask me if I'm all right, you know, that's me. I'm already getting my back up.
Yeah, exactly. It's
That's
like, it's
the
that
triggers.
checking of like, you know, did you have anything to add?
Yeah.
And then it's like, either you do or you don't, and it's like, you know, where you actually tuned in, and if you weren't, that's totally fine. I'll catch you up, you know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, I've found my niche. That's why I'm passionate about it. I like to paint. If I don't paint, and I'm not saying they're brilliant, I like to paint and I like to write. And when I put those two together, I'm going to rhyme. I'm going to be all right. There's my album coming out. But you know, it's like, that's what it is for me. I've found something, but it took me a hell of a long time in order to get that. It's like, it took me a long time to get that. And if I can help somebody's journey just be that tiny wee bit more softer, I'm going to do it. I'm going to sacrifice.
Because it's that thing of like, you know, like whatever has happened, whatever you've had going on, which everyone will have, you know, everyone deserves support. And like the amount of time in my life that it has taken me to go through that journey of like, I deserve support. You know, that was a fight to get there. Yeah. And, you know, I, like you say, I don't want people to have to spend, you know, 20 years realising that they
words are deep.
Worth helping, you know.
For people like me and you start imagining yourselves, like words are deep. So when people say those words, well, I can forgive, but I won't forget.
Yeah.
That's the whole point. I remember everything. I remember right back to age 5, and I remember all the horrible negative things.
And it's the emotional hangover of it all. Because, you know, you can know intellectually, you know, you can decide, like, actually, my worldview says that wasn't okay.
And I've also said it before.
You still feel like it's true.
I didn't know everybody didn't think like that. I did not know people thought like that. I did not know that everybody didn't think like me.
Yeah.
How unselfish of the world not to tell me somewhere along the
line.
line.
I only recently found out that not everyone has conversations in their head.
Somebody's not got a monologue. I was like, do you not tell yourself?
It's not even a dialogue. I have a conversation, and it's like someone asked me the other day, they're like, can you imagine just thinking? I'm like, nah.
As soon as I've said it again, it's like, as soon as I get out of my bed, man, it's like, here we go, that's it. I've done my meditation, but after that, that's it. The batteries are plugged in and James is away until the batteries are dead. And then it's like, that's how it is in my life.
And that's the thing, it's finding the smaller and smaller canaries so you don't get burnt out, so you can catch it before those batteries are gone.
Imagine that people...
But also having that space, you know, like I used to... when I was coaching riding, I would quite often go and have like just a 10-minute nap at lunchtime. And I needed it. And that's it made such a difference.
I've heard and seen people struggle with that. But that's what your body wants. You need to give it that.
Yeah, and it's that idea of like, I'll push through. But like, what I could produce was so much better.
And folk are like,
just
that's
from
for old
giving
folk.
That.
And I'm like, well, I'm an old person now. But it's for everybody. It's
like, don't totally. Naps are very, very healthy. It's one of my favourite things.
I just struggle with the whole 5-minute thing.
Yeah, well actually the optimum is between 60 and 90 minutes for a nap.
I'm out for 3 hours, man, and then I'm up writing and
same, but like,
I just think
but also then it's individual. It's like everything. Like, I mean, if you just small it, as you would say, down to sleeping, you know, it's finding that recipe that allows you to be you best.
It's like, it's fascinating, isn't it? Because like, I know Michael's not here, but you know, Michael says to me in one of the first podcasts was that, you know, you've been a child that's been told no, and that set things in my mind, and I'm like, going back and thinking, I'm like, you're right. Like, see that whole, like, don't do that. Like I don't like getting things dirty as an artist. It's like, I don't mean painting, I mean like clothes, or like I said to Jan said, oh, there's a mark in your jumper, and I goes, please don't say that.
Yeah.
Just record it, and I'll worry about it later, you know. And it's like, no Jan's fault, but like if I notice that, oh, I am done. That's me. That so small thing to somebody else would seem insignificant. To me, my whole day's just changed. You've just changed my whole day. So it's like when you, I guess back to if I'm working in my 9 to 8 job, then if somebody's presenting you with like, right here, I've just gave you that work, can you imagine what that's like? And now knowing that there's no alcohol or drugs at the end of the day, I don't know what would happen to me if I had to go back and work like that. And I imagine a lot of people are like that. But because, like I said, we think with our heart and we process with our mind, but there's another part to that, and this is exactly what I'm doing just now, is sitting talking. I am not non-verbal. I can talk.
Yeah.
I am articulated, but don't let me fool you.
No.
I am a soft-centered human being who has feelings as large as the ocean.
And there's that emotionalness of it, if I can coin words, which I do a lot. You know, like I used to be non-verbal if I was upset and if other people were upset. Yeah. And I remember how that felt to not be able to express. And so I don't take it lightly. You know, I really appreciate the ability to converse and to understand and to be understood.
I think as well, you've just reminded me that a lot of the stuff, like a lot of the sore heads and things for the last week, I get it. I was told that other people's problems are not my problem. But as a neurodivergent, you're in my circle.
Yeah.
I'm going to take every single bit of knowledge that you're giving me and every single negative thing that you're saying, and you then become my problem. And then I have to try and fix it. And you're like, that is such an overwhelming thing. Again, no giving any names.
It's feeling other people's pain, and it's that thing, you know, that you can't fix anything for anyone else, but you can sit in it with them. And I think, you know, we assume everyone can do that.
Yeah.
And a lot of people just find that too uncomfortable or just don't know how to do it.
It is an uncomfortable bit, but you know, it puts you under stress that you never asked for. But it's there. It's like, and again, and I plug my books. That's how my books exist, and they're based on human people.
Yeah.
All the characters are human people who have offloaded, and nobody knows who they are. Only I know who they are. But you know, I'll give you just two characters. So at that time where, because it's in my mind, like I had just been made redundant from my job, which I've spoke about in podcasts, at Haggerston Castle, selling caravans during lockdown. And I had started painting and then writing, so I'm able to then, and remember, I had never had an avenue for other people's problems, never mind my own. So, and I've never told them this, but you know, the two characters, Jaggy and Haggy, the wee Highland cows, Jaggy's for me, right? He's the ADHD version, and the Haggy one, because it made me redundant, gave me a lot of emotions I had to deal with. And that was the start of the autistic side to start to be like, and that's why the characters are two different but twins.
That's so cool.
It's like, and also Haggy's female. I don't know where I was going with that, but yeah, there we go.
There's the divine balance. Look back to Dawn's episode
as something that didn't exist, and to bring it into the world.
Yeah,
that's what I need to do in order to expel other people's stuff. But also, through no fault of my own, will go and help people. It's like, and that comes at a cost to me. It's like to go and to actually put all their problems then become mine.
But to circle all the way back round, you will then also learn from that.
Aye, that's it. But do you learn? I'm 42 years old, and it still becomes. I'm 42, and it feels as if that I'm back.
But I think it's the connection.
Hiding in the house.
I think it's the connection. It's that journey of like, you know, I am now feeling what they're feeling, and I understand. But also the reason that you feel it so deeply is because it talks to something within you, and then that gives you learning about yourself as well.
And I guess it's like, it's an open question, you know, it's not really something that I'm putting out there that, I'm asking, you know, are other people like that? I'm always asking, because if I'm true to what I say, I'm constantly striving to find a place in this world, to find where I fit, to find where you fit into where we, and it's like, that's exhausting, you know, but it's fulfilling, it's exhausting, but it is very much needed. Not blow my own trumpet. It's like everything we do, even in the podcast and even the world, and everything is needed right now.
And there's so much awesomeness that employers and clients
Exactly.
and
That is
other people that you work with in partnerships or whatever are losing out on because you're not on that journey to find how you work best together. It's like you say about looking out the window. Exactly. You know, like, you know, they could just be like, oh, they just look out the window. We're just going to sack them, which is an extreme example, but it happens. You know, or you can say, oh, okay, so that helps you, and then this helps me, and like, how can we actually work together so that we both have the information that we need and are then creating what we, you know, our best selves.
It's like you said there, it's being your own authentic self. Like, again, I always revert back, I've only got my experiences. I mean, there is people out there, we work with people who are amazing, but it's taken that long to get there, and you're like, and then there's all the other barriers to go through. But I also work with people who are very much like myself, and it's like, I'm sitting here and I'm trying not to breathe out. It's like all the things that people think, we also think like that. We are the superhuman.
Oh, 100%.
Body, I don't like people body shaming, but I body shame myself. It's like, I can't breathe out. I've got a wee spot in my nose that's been there for a wee while, and I was very conscious not wanting to make a video, and then I'm like, shut up. Shut up, James, man. If you are who you say you are, get out and do that. It's like,
don't be a horrible boss to yourself. But you know, it's like when I'm coaching people, you know, it is circular. You know, people will be like, oh, this is what I'm really passionate about, and it's fantastic. And then you sustain that. It's like you say with the hyperfocus, you sustain that for a certain amount of time, and then all of that trauma comes crashing down, and we'll be like, actually, can't do that. And then you go through that, and then each time it's different, and each time you learn more about what it is that you're really passionate about and how to create it and how to find rest and how to
inspire yourself.
Exactly, see your own canaries. Inspired, like inspirited. You put the spirit into yourself. That's the root of inspire. Yeah, same. Yeah, spirit from the sky. Yeah. That's a whole lot that's in my head now.
There comes for a place of, again, I don't use the word love that often, but it's a form of love, because I don't understand that.
There's a guy called Robert Holden, and he wrote a book called Lovability, which I adore. And his little meditation, which is just a mantra really, and is just when you're in that meditative space in the morning, let me be the presence of love today. And it's a beautiful thing, you know, and that it changes how your day goes.
It comes from a place of care, if there's the word, you know, it comes from. The reason it's no, this show isn't about any one person. It isn't about, that's me. It's about trying to get yous out there who are the next generation, or this generation of...
Or the last generation. Just, you know,
get yourself in.
You're okay. You are like a perfect, unique inspiration of who you are. And that is enough.
Entrepreneurship is a fascinating and amazing thing. And there's a wealth of knowledge out there for that. I will say there's a wealth of knowledge, not only just in the world, but also, like, I know it sounds cheesy plugging it, but South of Scotland Enterprises, they're massive as well. I only found out how big they are. But there's other organisations, you know, it's like, get out there, try it.
Find the people that light you up.
You have to trial it. It's like,
and the things that let you open that valve so you can bring that overwhelm down.
Again, it brings it all back round, doesn't it? You have to try all these things. You have to make the mistakes. You have to find out what you want. Like I said, we didn't wake up and go, oh, I'm going to be an artist today. It's like it eventually transpired into that for me, and then it transpired into something else. But you have to find what I use the word, what you're good at, what you like. You know,
find what you love. Because it's interesting. I think it's interesting you talk about. So I did quite a long time ago now a painting class, which was just like, we went on a Sunday and we painted. And I remember we started, and we had a photo for reference, and we were painting, and I was sort of, you know, painting away. And the teacher came and she was like, that's amazing, that's really cool how you've done that style. And I was like, yes, but I don't like that style. And it's that what you create might be wonderful for the people who need it, and that's beautiful. And it might not be what you need, like what you have to give might not be what you need, but you can get that from somewhere else. And I'm not quite sure what I'm saying, but like, don't catch yourself and say, oh, that's bad because it's not what I thought it was going to be, I think is what I'm trying to say.
Don't beat yourself up. You know, it's like if I've got a folder of stuff I don't like. In fact, there's an analogy. So you just reminded me of something, actually. So there was a painting I did, and I was so unhappy with it. I showed the world, you know, let's be honest, we put them out in the world because we do like it when you guys tell us that
100%,
they're nice. It's
yeah.
like that wee like button, even on the podcast, get the
Makes a
likes up, we like
difference.
that.
Yeah.
But it's not all about that. And I put this one out and it get nothing. It was like nothing. And it was, so, and then when we were moving into the new building, I found it and I put it out and everybody's like, amazing, and I was like, just there's your journey, there's your absolute bit. It might not suit there and then 3 years ago.
Yes, 100%.
Bring it back into the
Things
world
have their
now,
time, yeah.
And then there you go, you know, people like it. Please don't be so hard in the now. And I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Don't be too hard on the now you, because future you is dependent on you. But hey, it's the middle bit that we struggle with. It's the waiting, the in-between, because we're a very impatient species, let alone be neurodivergent. But trust the process, man. It's like, I can't say that. I can't say that enough. It's like, trust the process and the timing, as they say. I'm now that old man, actually.
Steady.
Trust the timing of your life. It will all become apparent. It's just one of the things. I've lived what I've lived, and fortunate that I've came on here and I'm able to say stuff, because there'll be people out there that no get this, they'll not get me, and that's all right. Whereas there's lots more on the podcast and lots of people. You need to stick with it and tell people, it's also trust in it, is what I'm trying to say. Yeah. There's a trust level of going through all the stuff and finding somebody that you can share
one step at a time.
It's one step.
Because you do need to share those things, like, you know, those things that are in your head and the ways that you, like you say, shame yourself. You need to share those, because, like, exactly like you say, they fester if they don't, you know, and you need someone else to step into that echo chamber and reflect back what is actually happening.
I'm all about the growth, man. It's like no plant ever grew without a wee bit of water.
Or darkness.
Or darkness, aye. Darkness and light. Light would be useless with it, darkness. Cause
but no, it's like the theory of impermanence. It's you know, if you have a candle flame, like, that flame is a thing. You can see it. You can say the flame is an entity in and of itself, but that flame cannot exist without the wick or the wax or the air.
Every component serves its purpose, doesn't it?
Yeah.
To have an engine that's oiled, you must first put clean oil in it. If you
True
put dirty
fact.
oil in it, hence the thoughts, nastiness about yourself, or is scared to try stuff, then your engine's not going to run. Pure and simple.
Yeah.
You have to have clean oil and petrol, mind. I don't know to run it if we're going
Or
down that
diesel.
route.
Don't put them in the
diesel,
wrong
don't
way
mix it.
round. That ends really badly.
But like tangent-y stuff is, I just think having another avenue is like everything I've just said there. And this is it. I've got to use that word again, expose myself to the world, but that's pretty much what we're doing. I am openly telling you on a day that I would normally just sit in the house. I would sit in the house. I wouldn't wallow in too much self-pity, but I would certainly give myself some painting. Jan, no fault of her own, driving up in the car, is like, you're quiet.
Yeah.
And I'm not answering because I'm quiet, because I have autistic me, I have
much.
ADHD me, I have everything going through my mind, I have a business. But guess what? Not once did I think it isn't worth it. It's not once that I don't think that Jaguar 82 isn't worth my time. Certain people possibly, because when we're out there doing what we're doing, there is a negative shroud. But it adds to it. What I'm trying to say is everything is adding.
It's like you were saying about mistakes. You know, like the people that you don't gel with, that don't love what you create, you know, they also teach you something.
Of course they do. And you said that, there I smiled inside, because I haven't had a steak for ages and I do miss them. that's how the mind works for me. It's just like, that's what it's like. It's like it is a random shroud, but you know, somewhere along the line of all this madness and all this negativity for myself was created something great. And you know, that's not self-praise. That's the fact is that you have to go through all that.
And it's having the belief that what you have to say is worth saying. Like, so many conversations I've had, and this is part of the root of the We Speak tangent as a mantra before it was a podcast, but so many conversations I've had have been hours long, because we've been conversing on whatever topic we're talking about, and then I will say something, how does that relate? And then an hour tangent later, I'm like, that's why those two things connect together. And it's like, oh, okay, yes, that does make sense. But it's having when I was younger, at school, if someone said, how do those two things relate? I'd be like, oh, no, never mind.
It's like all the podcasts we want to know is like in the girl the accountant.
Kirsty.
Kirsty, that's it. I was trying to think of her surname. She gave a lot of hints and tips, and I was like, wow, they really sunk into my soul. It's like, and that's what it is. It's about watching things back. And again, it's back to it's back to don't throw everything out. I mean,
it's like what you have to say is worth saying and also worth hearing, even if it's only for you. Like, even if you say something to someone who doesn't gel with it at that time, like you say about timing, like you can still learn from what you had to say and what made you passionate in that moment.
If you don't believe in miracles, it means yours hasn't happened yet. It will happen, man. I'm not in a religious sense. Your own miracle will happen. You just have to.
Yeah, a miracle is just a thing that's unexpected.
It's like mine's just happened for me. But I'm not up here rubbing it in folks' faces. I'm telling you the hardship and how it is to get to where you are. It's like troubled times are that time.
Yeah, and whatever you're struggling with now is going to take you forward.
Yeah. Also, be careful whose advice you take. Get yourself. If it's a doctor that you need, please just ask the doctor. There's a lot of.
It's like you say, if what someone is saying doesn't light you up, doesn't inspire you, then that's not healthy.
Healthy, there's the word. It is. I'm fortunate that what I do 90% of the time gives me what I need, and the 10% teaches me lessons.
Yeah,
but
that's a good balance.
Man, please just try it. Try that dream that you've got inside your head. It's like if there's this wee guy, even the way I talk. See the way I talk now in front of the camera isn't the way I spoke 5-6 years ago. Because I would always 100%. Try to articulate and try to understand how you would like me to speak. Nah, that isn't how it is. That is not my authentic self. This is how I speak, unless you're paying me money to act. But this is how I speak. And it's like I constantly try to change myself to suit the world. That's not happening anymore. The world either needs to come in line with neurodivergence, as it is, and work together. That sounds like an advert, but work together.
But it's that thing. It's like, if you are around people who don't gel with you, find people that do. And if you can't find people in your circle who light you up, find a coach, find a counsellor, listen to podcasts, find somebody who makes you feel like you are special, because you are.
And also it's like, this money might fuel you. For me, it doesn't fuel me, but we need it to survive. Find the passion in what it is, and that's where you'll find your entrepreneurship. The thing that gives you the drive. It could be talking, it could be walking, it could be liking dogs, it could be liking horses, it could be painting, it could be writing, etc., etc., etc. And that's where you will find your own, as I called it there, a miracle. You might want to find another word for it, but honestly, I cannot harp on enough about how that will change your life forever.
Yeah.
It will, man.
And I think that's kind of the
beauty.
Prove me wrong. Beauty of not, engaging with those systems of money, because, find enough. Find something that gives you enough that you can be lit up and be passionate and be authentic.
It's like to be a neurodivergent entrepreneur, you must have to take everything that we've said. But how do you become it? Obviously, you go through everything that we've had to go through. There is a process. There's things, but don't compile yourself just on that. That'll all come. Like Kat said, trial it before you really decide that it's a business, or you'll make your mistakes quicker that way. But the mistakes are, I guess this podcast is about you learn from the mistakes, but don't be scared to please, and this is coming from my toes all the way up, don't be scared to ask for help. I didn't ask for help, and it was absolute hell for me, but the growth there at the end of it was amazing, and it was worth it, because I now know that I can give others the exact same, to know, I'm not going to say ever make the mistakes, but but in order to get yourself to there, and that sounds like a mad tangent.
It's just a tangent it all the way back round. Those journeys that if you don't ask for help, you can't go on that journey with yourself and your employer or your colleagues or whoever to find that most authentic expression of
And find the
yourselves
people.
together as well as yourself alone.
Find the business people, reach out to, like, obviously we're funded by SOSI for the podcast, so go onto the SOSI website, there are new business grants.
There are
all
lots of
sorts
ways they
stuff,
can help
man.
you.
Just
Yeah.
go out and find out, or ask the show note, message in and ask people. Honestly,
Send us a voice note, we love it.
Aye, as a neurodivergent entrepreneur, I didn't have that opportunity. But if you've got that opportunity to take it, that will let you
use it.
Aye, it'll let you get to somewhere that you even didn't think you would be able to get to.
Come join us on Facebook, send us a voice note.
Don't be scared.
Engage, we love it.
What is it they say for where I'm from? Shy Waynes don't get PCs.
Love it.
Or Shy Bairns get now.
Would you like me to translate?
Aye, go for it, the translator.
Quiet children don't get jammy sandwiches.
Yeah, I was in quiet, so I got jammy sandwiches. I had a piece of everybody's door, as they say.
Like the cat that got 9 dinners.
That's it.
Yeah.
Oh, aye, that's me. That is me. Aye.
Perfect.
That should be great. And again, I never apologise for the way I am, but you know, if it comes across that I am having the most neurodivergent mind that I've ever had, but you know, I'm not scared to come on and do that. But I am a scared human being sometimes, and that's also all right. I give myself permission to do that stuff. But see all the stuff that we've just rattled off there? That's coming for the soul. Like, that's coming because self-belief in whoever's watching this, self-belief for who's yet to watch it. Please, and it's not... it's not
we believe in you and your growth.
Aye. And it's not to get the numbers up. Share this with somebody who... Because there'll be somebody out there. Share this with somebody who has asked or you've spoke to that you think wants to be an entrepreneur. We'll happily speak to them. And our neurodivergent entrepreneurs are out there. We're just trying to coax you out from behind the sofa or behind the... Wherever it is, you're hiding, get yourself... And, you know, there's help
don't be alone. We've done that.
Don't... If that's your journey and you make a mistake, that's fine. But, you know, I can't stress enough. Please just ask. That's what it is. And I find that hard. So,
we get it.
Words. I still ask. So, get yourself and get yourself the future you that's waiting on you. They're depending on you. That's it.
They are. Thank you for listening.
Yeah. So I've been James. Is that too quick at the end?
No,
like
it's all good.
Minutes late. So thanks for listening. If anybody got anything out of that, as Michael says, then thank you very much. And again, thank you to Susie for this building.
We're so glad that you're here. Yeah.
And you know, it's a fantastic opportunity. Please do take the words that we've said and try and do something with them, or even send us some questions. That'd be great.
Awesome.
So I've been James.
I've been Kat.
Thanks very much. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the We Speak Tangent podcast, brought to you by the Neurodivergent Entrepreneurs Network in partnership with the South of Scotland Enterprise.